Let's continue our Code of Conduct Handbook review. Throughout the presentation, some of the slides have a lot of words. Please make sure to pause and read through each slide, because some of the slides I will just be summarizing. Let's get started. This is Code of Conduct Part 2. At Brooklyn Middle School, we have a Lost and Found. Our Lost and Found is located in the main office. Students should report both lost and found items immediately. If you believe your item was stolen, please complete a theft report in the office. Unfortunately, balloons, signs, flowers, singing messages, beverages, outside food, and other items will not be allowed in school for any special occasion or on any regular day. There is also no sales at school. This means no individual, student, or organization, either public or private, may use the school to sell literature or any other product for a profit. The only exception to this is the sale of items for the school's organizations to raise money or funds specifically for the organization. For example, student council or a sports team that's associated with the school could sell items, but any club, sport, or any outside organization cannot. The Pledge of Allegiance. Each week we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. However, anyone who does not wish to participate in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance for any personal reason may elect not to do so. Students must respect another person's right to make that choice. Next is trespassing. Presence at any school property without permission is trespassing. Students are not to go into other district buildings without permission from the staff of that building. You are not allowed to admit or let others in through any locked or secured door without permission of school personnel. It is considered trespassing. These instances will be dealt with by the school and/or police. When a student has been dismissed or suspended from school, they may also not be on school property unless they have been readmitted by administration. This includes any school and district events. For example, if you are suspended from school, you cannot attend that sporting event that evening. Osseo area schools are tobacco-free schools. The district prohibits the manufacture, distribution, dispensing, transfer, possession, or use of any defined prohibited, meaning not allowed, drug while on school property, in school vehicles, or while accompanying students in school-affiliated activities. This includes alcohol, tobacco, including e-cigarettes. This applies to all students and adults at all times every single day. These policies also apply at any school-sponsored event on or off campus while students are under staff supervision. A tobacco violation will result in school consequences and a police referral. Similarly, there are rules for chemical use and possession. No student, regardless of age, may possess, use, distribute, or exchange illegal chemical substances, paraphernalia, or other mood-altering chemicals which can impact a student's ability to learn, participate, or could cause damage to a student's health. This means you can't drink, sniff, smoke, swallow, chew, inject, or otherwise absorb something into your body that is illegal or mood-altering substances. Students violating this policy are subject to discipline and are treated according to existing school rules, including notification of law enforcement agencies and the application of school suspension and/or expulsion procedures. Next is bullying. Bullying is intimidating, threatening, abusive, or harming conduct by a student that is objectively offensive and there is an actual or perceived imbalance of power between the two individuals, and the conduct is repeated or forms a pattern. Bullying is also anything that can interfere with a student's educational opportunities, performance, or ability to participate in school functions or activities. Bullying can be any written, verbal expression, physical act or gesture, or pattern that meets these specifications. Participation in acts of bullying will be subject to disciplinary action. Acts may include, but are not limited to, this list. Please take a look. Cyberbullying is also a form of bullying where there is a misuse of power, the behavior or action is ongoing and repeated, and the behavior can cause harm or interfere with a student's educational opportunity. Cyberbullying, or bullying, specifically includes cyberbullying. It means using technology or other electronic communication to transfer a sign, signal, writing, image, sound, or any type of data, including a post on a social network, an internet website, or a forum using any electronic device. Cyberbullying applies to prohibited conduct, meaning, again, not allowed, which occurs either on school premises, on school district property, at school functions, on school transportation, on school computers, networks, etc., or if it's off school property, to the extent that whatever is happening is interrupting or disrupting a student's learning or the school environment. Participation in bullying will also be subject to disciplinary action. We have a bullying prohibition policy to assist the school district in the goal of preventing and responding to acts of bullying, intimidation, violence, and other similar disruptive behavior. Bullying, like other violent or disruptive behavior, is conduct that interferes with a student's ability to learn and a teacher's ability to educate students in a safe environment. Essentially, it's a violation for any student or employee to bully another student or employee. This policy also includes anyone who is not directly engaging in an act of bullying, but by their indirect behavior supports or condones another student's act of bullying, meaning you're supporting another student or adult bullying another student or adult. Next, we will discuss sexual, religious, and racial harassment. Harassment is illegal behavior. Harassment means any behavior, words, or put-downs of sexual, religious, or racial nature which may pressure or intimidate a person, make them feel uncomfortable, or affect them in a negative way. Some examples of harassment are telling offensive jokes or stories, making degrading gestures and comments, meaning putting someone down, displaying pornographic or sexually explicit materials, calling someone a derogatory name or a put-down, pressuring someone to do something which he or she is not comfortable, inappropriate or offensive touching. Everyone has a right to feel safe and respected. School officials must investigate and take timely and appropriate corrective action in sexual, religious, and racial harassment cases. We have a policy for these things. The district does not allow any form of harassment or violence on the basis of race, color, creed, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, familial status, status with regard to public assistance, sexual orientation, or disability. It is a violation for any person to harass, threaten to inflict, or attempt to inflict violence through conduct or communication upon any other student or adult. Make sure you report any alleged harassment or violence to someone immediately. A good choice would be to report to your teacher, counselor, or administrator. Retaliation is also not allowed. The district will discipline any individual who retaliates against any person who reports, testifies, assists, or participates in any manner in any investigation related to sexual, religious, or racial harassment or violence. Retaliation includes, but is not limited to, any form of intimidation, reprisal, or harassment back at that individual. Next, let's talk about missed class time. What's the difference between being tardy or truant? Tardy means being late to class for up to 15 minutes without a pass. It could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, or even 15 seconds, all the way up to 15 minutes. Truancy, on the other hand, is being absent from school or class without the approval of building authorities for more than one class period. The authority to decide whether an absence is excused or unexcused rests with the building principal. This also includes being late to class after 15 minutes. That means you've missed the majority of your class. Both tardy and truant students are subject to receive teacher or school consequences. The next few slides summarize our student behavior violations. There are a lot of definitions. I am going to summarize a few of them, but please make sure you pause each slide and read it in its entirety. All of these are violations, meaning they are not allowed at school. Academic misconduct, meaning cheating on school assignments or tests or plagiarism. Arson, bomb threats, breaking and entering or burglary. Cheating, and making sure you are following our computer guidelines is essential. The use of school computers is a privilege, not a right. A disruption is also a violation. Anything that interrupts the peace and good order of the school or school-sponsored activities or the educational progress. Make sure you are not doing anything that could disrupt the learning of students. Last, you are not allowed to falsify or alter any documents, notes, or signatures. You are not allowed to tamper with, change, or alter any records or documents of the school district by any method using computers or any other means. Field trips do have both an academic and behavior requirement. Please read to find out more about that. Fighting is also a school violation. Any act which intentionally inflicts, threatens to inflict, or attempts to inflict any bodily harm upon another person or does inflict bodily harm upon another person, even though accidental or as a result of poor judgment, is considered fighting. This could include, but is not limited to, hitting, slapping, pushing, pulling hair, biting, kicking, and scratching. Engaging in any form of fighting is prohibited regardless of who initiated the fight. Gambling is also not allowed. Any harmful articles other than a weapon that pose a threat to others or are a potential disruption, including shock pens and laser pointers, are not allowed. Hazing is also a violation. Identification is also important. Students have the responsibility to identify themselves when asked by a school staff member or employee who they are. Please state your name so that they know. Failure to do so, fleeing, or giving a false name will be considered insubordination and subject to disciplinary action. You are not allowed to have any ignition devices or inappropriate materials at school. Let's continue. Insubordination is also a violation. This means failure to obey any reasonable request from a staff member. Indecent exposure or exposing one's private parts is also a violation. Next, nonverbal assault is any abusive, threatening, profane, intimidating, degrading, or discriminatory or obscene gesture or written language by a person or people toward another, which encourages a person to assault another person. Nonverbal assault includes conduct which degrades a person or persons because of gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression, physical or mental abilities, race, religion, ethnic background, or other protected classification. Next is off-campus behavior. Students can be disciplined for off-campus misconduct if the misconduct is a continuation of or has a connection to improper conduct that is occurring on school grounds. Physical assault. When one or more people attack another person who does not retaliate, intentionally or attempting to cause harm to another individual, it is considered an assault. Intentional assault of a staff member or a group assault may result in recommendation for expulsion. Instigating or encouraging of fights or assaults may also result in school consequences. Robbery, extortion, and theft are also violations and are not allowed. This is our last page of violations. First is a threat. A threat is any act that interrupts our normal school operations. These may include things such as reporting incidences that do not exist, such as false fire alarms, false all-calls, bomb threats, or instigating the same. For transportation violations, please look at our bus safety and our district's transportation safety policy. Trespassing is also not allowed. Unsafe behavior rule. A student participating in fights or physical assaults during their middle school career may be recommended for expulsion from our Osseo School District. Building administration will make a police report and criminal charges may follow. Vandalism. Vandalism is damage or destruction to any school property. And last, verbal assault. Verbal assault is defined as abusive, threatening, profane, intimidating, degrading, discriminatory, or obscene oral language by a person or persons toward another person, which encourages that person to assault someone. Verbal assault includes conduct which degrades that person because of a gender, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, physical or mental abilities, race, religion, ethnic background, or other protected classification. This is the end of Code of Conduct Part 2. We will continue with a couple final things in Part 3, and then you will take your Code of Conduct quiz, so make sure to pay attention.